Tonight, a bombshell development in the murder of Houston Army Specialist Vanessa Guillén.
The Army now confirms Guillén was sexually harassed by a supervisor before her disappearance and death. This comes after a year of Fort Hood saying it had no proof she was harassed. The Guillén family, clearly heartbroken. Older sister Myra apologized to Vanessa on Twitter, writing, "Now I understand when you told me the Army was not what it seemed. I'm so sorry I could not save you. I'm so sorry you had to go through so much. I just cannot understand why."
Now the family is inviting you to pray for change. Melissa Correa in Southeast Houston, where people continue to honor Guillén. Mel, what is the family saying about this report?
Well, Len, the Guillén family says that Army investigation is proof they've been right all along, and that Vanessa's reports of sexual harassment were severely mishandled.
We, as an Army, failed to protect Specialist Guillén.
This Army Major General confirmed Vanessa Guillén twice reported being sexually harassed by a superior non-commissioned officer in her unit. That Army officer created an intimidating and hostile work environment, just like the Guillén families said all along. While the Army did not find evidence Guillén was sexually assaulted,
Leaders did not take appropriate actions upon finding out this information.
And because of that, 21 people, including a 2-star general, are now facing disciplinary action. The Army will not release the name of the soldier who harassed Guillén, but we know it was not Aaron Robinson. Robinson was a suspect in Guillén's death. He died by suicide. His girlfriend is now charged with helping to hide Guillén's body.
Those criminal matters remain under investigation by the FBI.
We still do not know why Guillén was killed. The Army still does not think sexual harassment is linked to her death.
Imagine how devastated I would be if my daughter joined the Army and died in such a horrible way.
The Army's report confirms Fort Hood responded immediately to Vanessa Guillén's disappearance last April, but the base failed to properly alert the media, the public, and her family. The Army confirms its investigation happened because the Guillén family, Congress, and the Latino community demanded it. Members of the Latino community and other supporters across the city are showing up for a vigil that was scheduled for 6 p.m. here outside of Taqueria del Sol in Southeast Houston. But I just got confirmation via Twitter through Vanessa's older sister Myra that tonight's vigil, because of the weather, is postponed to 6 p.m. next Friday. So if you were headed out here with a candle, hold tight. The family is going to pray together next Friday here at 6 p.m. Len?
All right, Mel, thank you. It's been quite a year for that family. We have more on the family's push for change and a closer look at the report released today, all on KHOU.com.